Hello, Thomas Bartke here with TrackifyX, and I want to start us out again with another game of TrackifyX, just to get some entertainment going here. Let's see how many purchase events we can hit here this time before we crash into an obstacle. And there we go. So here's another purchase event. So you see I'm getting kind of good at this. Wow, oh, okay, well, never mind that. I'm still stuck on my 190. I guess that's my current best. And it's fun. It's a fun little relaxing, semi-addictive activity here that you can use to motivate yourself and just to take a little break in between things. Okay, so let's go over to some serious business. I want to address an interesting question that comes up in Facebook groups sometimes, and that is, how do you actually manage your audiences in Facebook and make sure that they stay organized and you can keep them organized and keep them working well and knowing what you've already used and how they are structured in the first place. So I'm here in the audience list in Audience Manager, and I'm just going to type in a keyword here so I can narrow down all the audiences that I have and just show you on the structure here how this in general works, right? So you have the filters here where you can just simply narrow everything down between custom audiences and lookalike audiences. And so let's take a quick look here first at how the naming structure is organized. So this is how I do it. I name the audience like this, and then these other parts are what Trackify adds to the naming scheme, right? So it puts the event type that it's built on, that it's based on, and it puts the look back period in the amount of days that the audience will last in there, right? So, and then you can organize it like this. Here's another example. This one here is using a specific tag as the name. So this one is a tag that is structured pp_beer. And that's a pretty good way to name this front piece of the audience, because then you know, okay, well, so that's based on the tag. So that is using a filter setting that filters for the tag, and it groups together all the products that have this tag here attached to them. Let's go back to the other one. So I saved a beer. That is a specific product. So more likely than not, this particular audience is based on a product ID that is used to put this filter together right here. And you can kind of use your own way of identifying what exactly you've used to determine the filter criteria in the first place. But just know that the event type as well as the look back period are automatically put on here by Trackify, right? And it's really important that you pay some attention and give some thought to how you name this. Otherwise, it's just going to be chaos and you won't know what you're looking for once you want to use your audiences in your ads, right? So let's switch over the filter to lookalike audiences and look at what this looks like. So the lookalike audiences are always named internally by Facebook. You don't have any influence on how the lookalike audiences are named. So that makes it all the more important to have named the base audience, the custom audience for these lookalike audiences properly, right? You can see here, right here, you have the same naming structure that I just showed you on the custom audience. And that shows how Facebook builds the lookalike audience names. It just uses the name of the custom audience, that is the base audience for this lookalike. And then it puts lookalike in front of that, and it gives you information about the country or countries that are in there, as well as the percentage, so the audience size and quality, the quality percentage of the audience. Okay, so let's experiment with that for a second. Let's just verify that this is the way this works. Let's go back to the filter for custom audiences, and let's change this here to the pp_beer. As a filter, because we don't have any lookalike audiences based on that. So lookalike audiences, because you can kind of see in the way that they're named, lookalike audiences can only be they have to be unique. They have to be unique for the base audience, right? So you can't take the same base audience and create the same lookalike audience twice from the same base audience. If you try that, you get an error and Facebook says that lookalike audience already exists. So let's just kind of verify that, in fact, this is this naming scheme for the lookalike audiences is how Facebook works and does it. So I'm just going to take the PPB purchase for 7 days, add to cart for 7 days, and view content for 7 days. Let's make sure it's displayed. Here we go. So I'm going to take the 3 7-day audiences for add to cart, purchase, and view content. And I'm going to just quickly create lookalike audiences from the selected. And what I'm going to do is, so you see here, the ad account is pre-populated the same as in the list that we just used as a starting point. And the 3 checked audiences that we've already checked are right here. This is a drop-down field you can add or take away from the list here as well. So you can add other audiences before you actually create them. But I always just prefer to go into the list and filter the list down, select the audiences that I want to build lookalike audiences on, and then click on the blue button in the list, and that takes you over here, right? So now let's take this one step further, and let's actually use 2 countries in here. And we're going to make United States and Canada. We're going to leave this as separate countries for each lookalike audience. So that means we're now going to get 2 audiences for each of these base audiences, one based in America, one based in Canada, right? The regions, you don't have to select them. If you have countries, you only need to select either countries or regions. So ignore this here. If it still shows for you, we're going to remove that. So then let's just go for 2 audience sizes so that we don't create too much clutter here. And let's do it like this. So now this should get us 3 times 2 times 2. So that's 3 times 4. It sounds like that's going to get us, what, 12 audiences, right? Hit the button. It says here, confirm. There are 12 lookalike audiences that will be created. You click yes, and it goes off to do its thing. And depending on how many audiences you build here all at the same time in one fell swoop, one click of a button, it may take a little bit longer, but probably not enough time to go over and play another game of TrackifyX. But you can see, so it was just a few seconds, and here are your confirmation and your success messages for each of the audiences. And it lists here lookalike. You can see the naming scheme here, right? Lookalike. Then it says the size, then it says the name of the base audience, which is purchase 7 days. Then you can see here that's the other countries, so it isolates US and Canada as we've set it there. Okay, so we close that. Then we can go back to the audience list and just filter this down to just inspect the lookalike audiences here and check that out. So now we have, before that we didn't have any on this filter. Now we have the audiences that we just built. So they are the 12 audiences. You can see here 1 to 12 of 12 are displayed, and they are all 12 audiences are here that we just built. You can see here the created and the updated date. Another side question that comes up sometimes is, are the lookalike audiences and the custom audiences automatically updating? And the answer to that is yes, they do. So as custom audiences build, it's actually pretty interesting. As custom audiences build and improve in quality, the lookalike audience will be updated to that improvement. Now, if the custom audience shrinks, because, I don't know, you don't have any more traffic for this tag or this product, and audiences are moving out, or because it's a short-term audience and audiences are moving out really quickly out of that. So when the custom audience decreases in quality, the lookalike audience will actually not update to that. That's actually good to know, because what that means is the lookalike audiences will stay at the state and at the quality level that is the highest level that the base audiences have ever reached, right? So that's actually really cool. That's good to know, because your lookalike audiences will not get worse. Okay, so even if the custom audiences get worse, the lookalike audience will stay the good quality that they've reached at their highest peak, at their highest quality level. So let's just go into the custom audience builder directly, and let's play around here a little bit and kind of come up with some naming schemes that you might want to use for your custom audiences, depending on what filter criteria you use here, right? So again, the ad account is pre-selected. You can change it. This is a drop-down. You can select other ad accounts that you have access to with your profile. And then you have to select the pixel, of course, that is, and you can have the drop-down here will show you all pixels that are assigned to the selected audience. Ad account, to the selected ad account. So here is where the custom audience name will go. So let's first think about what we want to build. And I'm just going to go through a couple of different examples here with you so you can make sense of that, okay? So there are here in this event parameter list, in this dropdown, there are a bunch of event parameters that are pre-selected for you or pre-made for you, and it's easy to just check them. And there they are, there you go. And now you go in here and you say, okay, content IDs. Now this is using product IDs, right? So for this one, you always want to keep the middle value here as contains the thing that determines the relationship of this filter. So the content IDs, if they contain, and now here, this is actually not a drop down, this doesn't have any values, but you have to type something in. Okay, so in this case, it's going to have to be a product ID. So you want to go back to your store, to your shop, to the product list, and you want to find the product ID that might be applicable to them. So let's just make this completely easy and transparent for you. So where do you get the product ID? Well, the easiest way to get the product ID is to go into your Shopify admin, go to the product page where you see the products, and right here, this number, that is, oh, it's not in the screen. Hang on, let me lower this a little bit. So there you go. Right here, the number that is at the end of the browser URL, right here, that is the product ID, okay? So we're just gonna highlight that, copy it, and I'm just gonna make this back so that you can see. And we're just gonna paste that in here, and there you go. It turns into this kind of taggy thing, and that's a product ID, okay? So now, that product ID would lend itself to just simply naming the audience according to the product, right? So I would name that like that. I saved a beer. That's the product. That would kind of give me the same audiences that we've already reviewed in the list before, right? And then depending on what you select here, this will create all the different audiences for each look-back period, and then each audience will be named with a number of days that the look-back period applies to. And then here you select the event types. You can select multiple event types here. You can also add additional event types. I've shown that in another video, so I won't do that right now. But so there you go. So now here we have 3 event types. So again, the bulk audience builder here in TrackifyX works like this. It creates 3 audiences, 1 for each event type, and multiply that by 1 for each look back period. So this one is now going to create this audience here that is determined by this filter settings, and it's going to create 1 for each event type, so that's 3, times 1 for each look back period, that's 4. So it's going to, again, create 12 custom audiences here, and they're going to be following the naming scheme that I showed you in the list before. Okay, so this short name here will be at the beginning of the audience name, and then it'll append the event type and the look back period in days. All right. Okay, so let's we're going to stick with these settings down here and just go for another example. Okay, so for example, content name. The content name parameter contains all of the tags that are in the product. Okay, so with that, you shouldn't use a product ID, but rather a tag that's attached to all products that you want to build the audience for. So that example was before, right? PP beer there, and so in this case, I would name that audience PP beer. Maybe PP beer tag, whatever you want to do. whatever makes sense to you, whatever has meaning to you, that's what you should use here. Just keep in mind to keep this kind of short, because there's more information going to be added. And later on, when you select the audiences in your Facebook ad account, it will be nice to have not too long of a name here that is characteristic for that audience, because then you can also still see the other parts of the name, okay, when you select the audience. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's a good example for this one. Let's choose another one. So let's say you're here in the category, right? So content category. The category will give you basically the product type. So let's say you want to build an audience here that has the content category, whatever it might be. Let's see what the content category is here. Product type, t-shirts. All right, so you would type in t-shirts. Make sure this all follows, it's spelled correctly, and it uses the same caps setting, so it's case sensitive here. These, so this would be that. And so now you could just simply put this like that. T-shirts. Maybe you want to make it like that. T-shirts type, product type like this. Again, keep that kind of short so that it doesn't produce an overly long audience name, so that it's easier to select them later in your ad accounts, right? So that would be a good name, a good way to name that. It's not part of the drop down, but you can also type in event types here. So for example, in TrackifyX, we have content collections. So with that, you can use any collection name in the value here. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's see what we got for collections in this particular store. Oh no, we stick with the beer lovers. Well, no, let's use this one. Okay, so teacher. So teacher, you put teacher in here as a value like this. And that would be awesome to put that over here. Teacher collection. I would name that like that, right? Again, make it so that it's meaningful to you, it's significant, but at the same time, try to abbreviate. Just don't make the abbreviation so short that it doesn't mean anything to you anymore later. Okay, so that's an awesome audience here. Let's actually reduce that a little bit here. I'm just gonna build, a couple of event types and a couple of look back periods. So that's gonna be four audiences, right? So let's just go through and actually build that so you can see how this would build the audiences and do it exactly the right way. So you can see this is pretty fast. 4 audiences are built quickly. You can see here the names: teacher collection, view content 3 days, teacher collection purchase 3 days, teacher collection view content 30 days, and teacher collection purchase 30 days. And they're going to come up right over here, same way. We're going to go back to the audience list. So let's go through one more example that's kind of more of an exotic example, and that is this value here, content time data. So content time data is, there's a string in this parameter that is fired by TrackifyX. So the string works like this. You can see it's formatted like this. There's a short abbreviation, 3-letter abbreviation for the month, then underscore, then a 2-digit day, the date, the day, then underscore, then 4-digit year, underscore, then here's fully spelled out, then the day of the week, underscore, spelled out hour, underscore, and then 13. That hour format is in military time, if you will. So this means it's, and if this event was fired in the local hour between noon and 1 o'clock. Okay, so with that, knowing how the string is filtered, how the string is formatted, you can go in here now and put a filter criteria such as Tuesday. That would give you an audience for all Tuesdays. You can add other days to that. Let's say Thursday. Okay, and let's say Friday. In several of our stores, is actually there's a pattern that weekends are like really cool. So for these stores, I would filter them like that. Saturday, Sunday. Let's say like that. Okay. So I have 4 days of the week that are converting much higher usually than the other days, the other 3 days of the week. So if I had an audience that would fit this criteria, that would be awesome. So I basically, again, so now naming scheme, all right, how's that? So Thursday through Sunday, maybe like that, right? Thursday through Sunday, no further criteria. Now I can take this one step further and add an additional criteria and say, okay, well, I want only the Thursday through Sunday visitors, but I also want them to be narrowed down to a specific tag, right? So like that, let's say, we had this similar thing before. And in this case, we would have, okay, so now here you need to switch this to include all. All means the audience has to have both of these criteria have to be met, right? So in this case, the audience would be built out of people, events who have PP Beer in the content name, and also have one of these weekdays in the content time data field. Okay, that's a pretty specialized audience. Again, I would kind of refine the name here, Thursday through Sunday, PP Beer, like that. That's what I would do here, right? And if I put these audiences through, they're going to be created, right? So let's do it. Let's run them. Another 4 audiences. You see it's very fast. Audiences in bulk. Here's the name. View content 3 days, purchase 3 days, and so forth, right? So it's very powerful audiences. Yes, so let's say your pattern that you observe in your stats is not necessarily specific weekdays, but it's rather specific hours in the day. So how do you filter that? Well, you just go and you say, okay, so in the morning hours, let's say they're converting better. So why not put that together like this? Hour 08 and hit tab and then put hour _ 09, put tab, hour 10, put tab, let's say like this, right? So now you have between 8 and 10 in the morning, all right? And also again, filtering for the tag. So now let's modify our naming scheme here. Maybe hour 8 to 10, like that, right? And it's still combined with the name for the tag, right there, okay? So that's some ideas of, number one, how to drill in and get some better qualified, higher performing audiences to go in here that set yourself apart from your competition, and at the same time giving you an idea of how to be focused on your naming scheme, make it short, make it meaningful, and let Trackify handle the rest of the naming scheme. See, so the bulk audience builder like this handles all the naming schemes for you. When you do this in Facebook, it's much more complicated because you have to go, number one, you have to build each of these audiences individually yourself. And number two, you have to take care of the naming scheme behind the first name of the campaign, right, of the audience. You have to actually name the whole name in Facebook. So you have to, it's just way much more work. And so, yet another reason to use Trackify. It's a funny thing, I had an interesting comment yesterday. So some people use Trackify for different reasons, and the bulk audience builder with all these powerful features to keep track of your audiences, manage your audiences better, name your audiences faster and better is one reason. But also you can see, this data collection here that you can use in the filters is proprietary to Trackify. No other app generates this data automatically already built in. So this is available for all plans that are in Trackify. So just go ahead and start your free trial. It's you get into TrackifyX now if you install the app through the Shopify App Store. We have several different service levels that you get to choose, and you can switch between them even within the free trial. So just start your free trial if you haven't been on there yet. Awesome. So let's take a quick peek again at the audiences that we just created. We created a whole bunch, right? Let's just review if they're all here and if they're all good. I think we created a bunch with this pp tag now. Let's filter them down to custom. Let's make all of them visible here. We have a total of 16 now. You can see, so here's the Thursday through Sunday beer tag, and there are the event type and the days, Thursday through Sunday. Then we have, these are the pp beer. And oh, I guess we didn't actually hit the button on creating the hourly audiences. Okay, but you can see, so this is a very simple, very easy system to name your audiences. And then again, if you just want to create some lookalike audiences from them, just create a bunch, select a bunch that you want to use, hit the create lookalike audiences from selected. It'll pre-select your selected audience, ad account here, and pre-select your selected audiences in this field, and you're ready to go to just simply, put a country in here or a region, select the audience sizes that you want to build, hit create, and bam, the whole thing gets created all at once, right? I mean, check it out. How many can you build at the same time? Well, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 right here. And if you select multiple countries and separate them, but even just this, so this is now, what is this, 12? This is 12 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 times 4. So that's 48 audiences, and they're all going to be standard, following the standard naming scheme that you've laid the groundwork for in those custom audiences, and they're all going to be named according to the naming scheme that Facebook applies, and you can create 48 of them all in one fell swoop. Okay, well, that's a wrap. Let's go back to TrackifyX. I'm going to switch it to day mode just so we have some more fun here. Whoa, that was close. There you go. Now I got the swing of it. Yes, there you go. Easy, easy. Whoa, there. Sometimes there's no escaping. Okay, well, try to beat me. Let's, let's set up some tournament and some challenge on the game. And don't forget to reach out to support. We had an awesome comment the other day too. It's like a long-term Trackify user said, I would use Trackify even if it wasn't working, or even if I wouldn't work it, just because your support is so great, and I can ask you any questions here, and you actually give me an answer that is, oftentimes our answers are clearly better than what you can get from Facebook support, and you can get it faster a lot of times as well. Okay, awesomeness. I'm going to close this video down, and this is Thomas Bartke signing off. Thanks all for watching. Go start your TrackifyX free trial right now.